On this edition of Native Report, we profile bead artist Marcus Amerman, we learn about cradleboards, and we meet Scott Davis, the Executive Director for North Dakota's Indian Affairs Commission. We also learn something new about Indian country and hear from our elders on this Native Report.
Production of Native Report is made possible by grants from the Shakopee-Mdewakanton Sioux Community, the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe, and the Blandin Foundation.
Welcome to Native Report. I'm Stacy Thunder. Artist Marcus Amerman draws upon a wide range of influences, creating contemporary art while paying homage to traditional art forms. Best known for his bead art, he is also a multimedia artist, painter, performance artist, and fashion designer.
On this cool fall morning, artist Marcus Amerman's living room offered the right amount of solitude and warmth to do beadwork, a medium he learned as a child.
At the Pendleton Roundup, they have like an Indian village behind the big Roundup arena, and that's where I actually got my start making little $5 beaded bracelets to sell there. And we always sort of made stuff at home. We were always into the powwow culture. We were dancers and drummers and singers, so we always made our own outfits. So there was always beadwork going on. My aunt sewed quilts, and my uncle did silver work and kachina doll carvings. So it was just a creative culture, and I think that's the way Indian culture in general is. You know, you have these families where it's just natural to make stuff, and I've always tried to transcend imagery, because pretty much the nature of the medium is made for like geometric imagery, and that's where usually everyone starts and ends, basically. But for me, I didn't see any limits at all, and I still don't. I'm still always trying to press myself.
For Ammerman, the strive to take on personal challenges has branched into other media, such as photography.
I'm still sort of dealing with icons, like old Edward S. Curtis photographs, and then restaging them with sort of modern imagery or humorous metaphors. Based on 4 Hopi maidens who are grinding corn in Edward S. Curtis photograph. And in mine, 4 women are on the beach, but they have the same hair whorls that maidens, unmarried women, wear. So they all have the hair whorls, but they're wearing bathing suits, and instead of grinding the corn for food, they're just unpacking Burger King bags of food, which also have a lot of corn. In that same similar vein, I did this man holding 2 pack dogs, big burly pack dogs. Instead, I'm holding 4 little chihuahuas that I had at the time. And another one where they're at a canyon, and a topless woman's holding a pot on her head, and in mine, a topless woman's holding a ice cooler on her head. I just love everything about being creative. There's such a spectrum of how simple it can be and available to other people, and also how personal and powerful it can be. And I try to make room for all of that range of expression, as well as a range of expression in different media, different goals. Sometimes I just like to have fun.
Buffalo Man is Ammerman's alter ego. This character evolved as performance art during breaks at fashion shows.
I would do performance characters dancing to back projected video images, And I had like a techno shaman character, but I traded for this tan buffalo hide head, you know, that has to be cut a certain way, and it kind of destroys the rest of the hide, but it's cut for a head mask. And so I put some horns on it, and he was pretty much born that way as my alter ego performance art character. And he's just grown and kind of developed his own character and life over the years, doing video performances, performing with other performance artists, doing his Facebook site, still photos. But he's sort of a harbinger of doom in this day and age, you know, getting close to 2012. He speaks for the earth, and he just warns of the unbalance that we've incurred on the planet, and our need to prepare ourselves for changes on the planet.
Glasswork is an art form Ammerman is exploring. He was attracted by the aesthetic of the medium.
Filmmaking and glass are two collaborative mediums where you have to work with people, so I'm gaining a lot from that experience, and also working with someone I really honor and trust, like Preston Singletary. You know, and now we're partnering up and creating our second body of work together based on ancient pieces from my culture. Just as he's sort of translated his Tlingit imagery and material culture into glass, we're sort of doing that with the mound builder culture of the ancient Midwest. But for actually doing like images of these head pots, you know, where we're doing sandblasted tattooing that these historic pieces or prehistoric pieces had on them. So they're actually depicting a certain person, a certain warrior of great status from my ancestry. And so so when we do the specific heads like that and they're being sculpted, the spirits gather near because they want to see, and specifically that spirit will gather by to watch you. But he takes it one step further in that he wants to see what it looks like, so they go through you to see through your eyes, and so you kind of feel that closeness that's sort of closer than prayer. You know, you get to a state that's closer than prayer because they want to see if you're doing it right. You know, if you can kind of feel their presence. That's something really different.
Much of his artwork is infused with socio-political overtones, but Ammerman also sees a bit of himself in each of his creations.
I think all the time, anything an artist creates is a self-portrait. You know, it's really revealing about you, you know, to a degree you don't even realize a lot of time. In this one, there's an Indian warrior on horseback shooting at the Santa Fe Railroad train. And I can only kind of see this as a self-portrait in a way, of course. And it's sort of me against the art scene in Santa Fe, which is so out of control that it waters down all the really important art. You know, so it's always like you're sort of biting the hand that feeds you in a way, you know, because you want to make your living as an artist. You want to survive as an artist, but to do it, you have to sell your work and market yourself and be available to those who consume what you create. Some artists make money, some artists make art, and some artists make history. And I think you pretty much know, or you should know, which one of those you are when you start out, because you'll probably end up getting what you want.
Did you know there are several federally recognized tribal governments in the state of North Dakota? They are the Spirit Lake Sioux Tribe, the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe, which also extends into South Dakota, the Turtle Mountain Chippewa, and the 3 affiliated tribes of the Fort Berthold Reservation. Also a part of the Lake Traverse Indian Reservation, home to the Sisseton Wahpeton Oyate, is in North Dakota. The three affiliated tribes of Fort Berthold are the Mandan, Arikara, and the Hidatsa. The Mandan had become famous because Lewis and Clark spent the winter of 1804 with them. But after a smallpox epidemic in 1837 killed large numbers of these three tribes, the remnants of the tribes banded together. The three tribes officially became one tribal government under the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934. The last full-blooded Mandan died in 1971.
Dick Noggin is an Ojibwe word for cradleboard, an ingenious solution to amuse, protect, and transport babies. For Norma Johnson, the cradleboard is a connection to the history of her family in northern Minnesota.
We grew up on Burnside Lake in Ely, and my dad started a resort there. It's like a mom and pop resort. They had small cabins, but he'd also have a launch on Burnside Lake and built most of the boathouses there. And then my mother took care of the cabins, and I have three brothers, and we all helped at the resort. And it was fun because we could go, my dad would make a skating ring out in front of the house, and we'd skate, and then we had big hills behind us so we could drag our toboggans over there and slide. And there weren't many people at all, and now Burnside is quite well, every inch of it is almost gone, but then we were the only ones on the east end of the lake, so we had a lot of fun at that time.
There are many things that come to mind when Norma Johnson talks about growing up in northern Minnesota, a region much different today than what she saw as a child.
We didn't have any close neighbors, but we had each other. The four of us would play skate and slide and just have a lot of fun just being out in the woods. So, and then the resort flourished, and just being, I think there was another resort further up the Echo Trail, but and then my dad would drive up and pick up their children, but really there weren't very many people in Ely, which is different than it is now. My mother and dad went to the Indian school at Vermilion, and so we didn't speak Chippewa in the house because they were taught to try and get rid of the language. But now I wish we'd known more, but we know some of the basic words like sugar and doto shabo, which is milk, and some basic words we learned when we were younger, but now, and I wished I could have learned more. But they were taught at the Indian school to try and speak more English in the homes.
A special item made for Norma by her great-aunt is a cradleboard. Much time, care, and handiwork went into making the board.
This is a dickanoggin. It's a cradleboard of the Chippewa Indians that made for their little children. It was made for me by my great aunt, who was wife of Chief Joe Bogie. This was made for me over 85 years ago. The ladies would line the dickanoggin with rabbit fur, and so the children would stay warm in it. The rabbit fur was all the fur was toward the child, and then they put moss around so the baby. It used it as diapers because they didn't have diapers in those days. So the moss and the rabbit fur kept the babies warm, and then there was a purpose for that, because oftentimes the ladies would put the babies against a tree, and then if the wind came along and knocked it over, well, this would save the child. So that's why they have that little outreach there. This is a dream catcher, and it's when the children are sleeping or have a dream, this helps them to understand their dream. Some of the beads are coming off, so haven't repaired it very well, but it still is usable.
The Dickonoggin is a great teaching tool, and Norma generously shares with her grandchildren and their friends the history and ways of Ojibwe culture. The board is a connection to what many call the old ways.
They asked me to go to their schools and give talks about the Dickonoggin and wild rice, and I popped the wild rice for them to have at the schools, and the kids love it. And then the maple sugar, I talk to them about the maple sugar, because my grandma used to take me along with her when she tapped the maple trees. They did it the old-fashioned way, you know, make a hole and then put little cans, I think, underneath it, you know, and then she'd boil it up and make it do herself, make little sugar cakes, which we loved. It brings back such nice memories, and I feel a closer affiliation with my ancestors, because I think, well, that's the way they used to live, and now we live so differently, you know.
Be generous. Of all the things that I've learned as I've gone around the country and talked to Indian people, is that they came out of the old backgrounds where generosity was the key, not acquisition, but generosity. And every time I got an invitation the other day from an organization here in town, and they said, you know, come, all you people, free food and drink. We're going to celebrate our, I don't know, 40th anniversary of the business or something. And I thought, now that's good. See, that's different than saying, well, it's going to cost you $50 to come to our party, you know. And that whole generosity thing, I think businesses could learn an awful lot from that, because it is not, generosity is not, you know, doesn't mean giving tons of money away. It means just helping out here a little bit and helping over there.
Scott Davis, Executive Director of North Dakota's Indian Affairs Commission, may have counterparts in other states whom also do tribal state liaison work, but what separates this office from others is that his is located in the Capitol building in Bismarck as part of the governor's cabinet.
Scott Davis knew he would one day be in a position where he could help the Native nations of North Dakota. What he didn't know was how this would be.
I guess I look back at my grandparents, my father, my mother. My father and mother both servants in education and in health field. So at our dinner table, we've had a lot of discussions about certain things, politics and health care, and just basically how do we improve the lives of our people. And I've always paid attention to some of the issues, but bottom line, I've always wanted to do something. And I think once I got my education, you know, my master's degree, I really felt a huge obligation to give back, you know, to do something. I didn't know what it was, you know, and I was searching, and you know, I worked as a development officer for United Tribes Technical College for a while, and that really kind of put me at a level where I worked with city government. You know, I worked with foundations, I worked with various leaderships on accessing resources, finding resources, and implementing resources. And so, again, going through that process and meeting some folks, and then one day I get a call from the governor's office, basically asking me, would I like to come to work for him?
As Executive Director for North Dakota's Indian Affairs Office, Davis works toward creating dialogue between Native nations and the state.
basically my duty is to serve the governor as a liaison between him and the tribal chairs and state government agencies. And basically, to put it in a nutshell, to help government business work, basically, providing whether that's business transactions or MOAs, MOUs, understanding each other. But basically, my role is to make those relationships work. As I walk the halls and talk with various leadership on different levels in the state, it's always, the question always comes up, how can my office or how can I as elected official help the tribes? What can I do? Because I'm not sure that a lot of that type of leadership knows how yet. And then again, so in following up with those conversations, I think I try to create venues or dialogue someplace for this type of work or ideas to happen.
One event coordinated by Davis was a first ever orientation session between State Department heads and the chairs of North Dakota's Native Nations.
I just basically met with some folks here and there about my idea. And I presented it to our cabinet members during our cabinet meeting, and it was immediately response that, hey, this is a great idea. Governor Dalrymple thought, yeah, definitely, this has never been tried before, but I think it's a good idea. It's a good start. That was my goal, was to get as many parties as I could together and just open the dialogue, having good open conversations about certain things. And I just knew that there would be support for that. You look at the position, my counterparts in other states, we are walking on the line, so to speak, of tribal and state sovereignty, but again, it's really, there's really no books or curriculum that you study in school of how to do this. You got to be creative, you got to be innovative, you have to be consistent to, be committed to consistency, because you do run across roadblocks, and there is, I think, probably some fear from some tribes that are of a trust issue, But I think you got to prove yourself. You really got to prove yourself out there.
The cooperative accomplishments by Davis's office are the results of the combined efforts by his staff and are supported by the former administration and the current governor's cabinet.
I know the governor then, Hoven, and now even Dalrymple, wants that. They want to, not give me the free rein, so to speak, but they allow me to bring the tribes in. They allow me to, use my own strategy and get into some of these tribal-state relations to the next level. I think the tribes are at a point now where they see the value of the office and the good work we do in our office. We have our hands in pretty much everything, and we're a small office, but we're dedicated to keeping tabs on some of the things that come about, opportunities, and things. And also, it's important that when bills are being made, that it's so important that we update the tribes that this is coming down the pipeline and that they should be here and participating in the legislative process. Very, very important. It's still, I hate to say, cowboys and Indians in some respects, and it shouldn't be that way. But I think it takes absolutely leadership from the governor's side and the tribals to be unified in coming together and really talking about these things. And I'm not sure if states or other states or reservations are willing to do that.
Davis's ongoing goal is to continue to improve tribal and state relations, but its mission is as much spiritual as it is political.
There's so many needs right now of just still doing the legwork, the groundwork. I mean, we're just starting. I think we're just beginning of where we're seeing our tribal relations starting to bloom, where it should be, and I need to maintain that. Maybe they wouldn't at some point in time, they wouldn't need a need for a tribal state or tribal commission. Why? Because our relations are working perfect. We're we're smooth running machine here. I am blessed, and Creator's given me some gifts on some things, and I best utilize them, you know, to His advantage, well, to our people, you know, and that's very important. And I'm so lucky and grateful to our governor in our state of North Dakota here that I'm given that opportunity to do that. And but really, it's an obligation for me to fulfill our ancestors' vision of a prominent nation. You know, that's really what it's about for me. Next, I'd like to introduce
For more information about Native Report or the stories we've covered, look for us on the web at nativereport.org. Thank you for spending this time with your friends and neighbors in Indian Country. I'm Stacy Thunder. See you next time on Native Report.
Stacy Thunder is a member of and legal counsel for the Red Lake Nation, and Tad Johnson is a member of the Bois Forte Band of Chippewa and is chair for the American Indian Studies Department on the campus of the University of Minnesota Duluth.